Hey guys, it's Ed, and the future is now. In the future is $300 a share plus for Tesla. The earnings report came out today after hours, and the stock reacted heavily. A lot of short covering drove the stock up heavily. Right now, it's right around 308. Potentially, it's been hovering around 300 to 308, which is incredible move. It's about 18% up after hours. That's a huge burst, off of the earnings report. But if we look at this, take the earnings report aside. Okay, the trend was showing that upward progress. So for them to have a really terrible earnings report, that would have kind of gone against all the past history over the last couple months. So to me, that wasn't a big surprise. It was a surprise. I didn't necessarily expect it myself, and I'm not predicting it either way. I don't have any inside information on Tesla and company. I'm just following the data and the trends. Now it's pushing it up to right around 300, 308 per share, which is the high side of the trend. You see, I put a little a top on here. And anyway, that's really good news for Tesla moving forward. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to have an effect for the next couple of weeks. You're going to see a lot of potential volatility in the stock over the next couple of weeks. But anyway, that's Tesla. But I wanted to show you a couple more stocks on here. Let's check Uber out and see what Uber looks like. Okay. Now let's go down to Uber. Now Uber's finally showing progress to me. Okay, Uber was not looking good from the IPO. It did climb up, but when it crossed that 50, you can see the 50 in blue, 50-day moving average that I have set right here. Anyway, they had a bad earnings report right on the day where it kicks off the 50-day moving average, and that sent it basically straight down and down. And this is what kind of similar to the Tesla. Is this a bottom? It's kind of hard to tell because once again, we don't really have a lot of data. I don't have a lot of points that are pointing. Yes, it's showing signs of improvement here where it's crossing the 50-day moving up. That's a good sign, but that's not the end all be all to anything. And then, you have basically where, think about it. It came in the IPO around low 40s, and then, it kind of moved up. I think a lot of people were using Uber and, just in general, that's, as buying it as a company. But they were showing bad earnings reports, and now it looks like they're kind of forming a bottom here. I don't know. It kind of almost looks like a potential inverted head and shoulders formation. If you take that as a shoulder, that as a head, if it forms another shoulder over here and then heads up, that's a huge sign again for upswing on this potential stock of Uber. But once again, we don't have enough data to really go on here, and there's no solid points. I don't like this until I can really see some positive momentum. Once we start seeing maybe an upward channel forming, then it's easier to play that type of stock. Anyway, so that's one, but let's compare to Lyft. Lyft just announced some news the other day. Sorry about that. Let me get Lyft to pull up. I mistyped it. Okay, now, Lyft is very similar. Obviously, they're the same type of company as Uber. They're both in direct competition. Lyft had an awful IPO. They started out super high, 79 or something. I can't remember exactly where they came out. And they've lost 50%. That's brutal. And this is why a lot of people say, oh, don't buy the IPO at the initial public offer. You don't want to necessarily do that sometimes. And here's a good example. You buy the IPO thinking, oh my gosh, Lyft, this is a great company. Well, without knowing much about really how their business structure is and how they're going to plan on making earnings, profits. So, and they tanked for a little while, and then they formed a little upward trend again, which is good. They formed an upward trend. So now we have some data here. But once again, you can see it crossing the moving average right in here, which is a sell point to me. And then it bounced, and once it hit the earnings spot, that sent it down into a downward spiral, and it's been going down since. And let's expand it a little bit more so you can kind of see what's going on over here. Hang on a minute, let me zoom it a little better because it's hard to see it from here. But anyway, it's not showing a lot of formation down on the bottom. It's just, I don't see a perfect bottom here yet. And once again, we don't have a lot of data here. So, I mean, I would wait on more data on this stock before I did anything personally. I mean, if I bought it in as the IPO, I'm pretty sure I would have ended up selling it in this point and kind of cutting my losses, and then looking for a bottom here and potentially buying back in at a cheaper valuation, as to not lose all the money during that track down. So, but anyway, that's how I see Uber, Lyft, and Tesla had a monster day. So that was all obviously worth noting. And you'll see tomorrow it start out at 300 plus on the asking price on that stock. So it's pretty amazing what they're doing. And you know, I mean, just following the trends, following the data. Let's just continue following and see how these stocks play out. Anyway, I hope this was imperative for you guys if you're involved in Lyft or Uber or Tesla for that matter. And, you know, always try to make the right choices, not based on emotions, you know, base them on technical data too. Don't just, you know, think, oh, this is a great stock because I drive in one of the cars, or because I use Uber or Lyft as a ride share. You've got to base on what the company's doing as a whole and how much money they're making and their future. What are they going to look like in 2 or 3 years? So anyway, thanks a lot, and be sure to subscribe, like, the whole 9 yards, comment on anything you want. And anyway, that's all for today. Thanks a lot and have a great day. All right.